All right, it's 7:01. We'll call the January 13th, 2025 meeting to order. Do we have any amendments to the agenda for tonight? Nope. All right, then minutes of the previous meeting, actually. Oh, yeah, they were here.
I'll move them.
Yeah, I wasn't here, so.
Second.
All right, moved by Ben, seconded by Tom. Did those of you who are here have any questions or additions, corrections? Nope.
Pretty
Great.
accurate.
Good. All right, then all in favor? Passes 3 with 2 abstaining. Do you have any public comments on items not on the agenda tonight? No, maybe you'll get your wish, Ben. We'll move right along. Quick meeting. Unfinished business 5A abatements and supplements. Kevin, we have somebody who no longer qualifies for the homestead exemption, and we need to just
We
remedy
need to
that.
take a check. We need to increase their share of the tax value, which is about $350, $40.
340.
Yep.
Yeah.
They volunteered to come and present that. And so this is a supplement accepting that essentially.
Okay. Do I have a motion to sign the supplemental tax certificate and tax warrant as recommended by Assessors Agent Murphy?
So moved.
Moved by Rufus, seconded by Tom. All in favor? Passes 5-0. That's an easy one.
He brought a pen.
I brought a pen. I'm trying to start the year off right.
Unfinished business 5B easements for the M013 L011 property.
I'll move that.
That's the CMP.
I'll second that.
All right, moved by. So to authorize the town manager to sign the utility easement to CMP on behalf of the town of Newcastle. So it was moved by Ben, seconded by Tor. Did anyone have any questions on it?
We kind of went over it last.
Yeah,
week,
this all got
honestly.
discussed last meeting.
Okay.
So
I have never seen such a long paragraph.
About a utility pole?
yeah.
Wow. That seemed unreasonable, but okay, then all in favor.
This is why it took 2 months.
Yeah,
All in
right.
favor, it passes 5-0. That was crazy.
I have one question about.
Oh, one question. Yep, go ahead.
Is there an actual mapped out spot where in that easement it's gonna go? Has CMP defined it?
They've put markers in the
Okay.
ground where they're proposing to do this.
Correct.
They did, but then they disappeared, so I think they.
They're gonna go back out and put some more markers in. And we'll track that.
But it's kind of towards the property line.
Property line with
Yeah,
neighbor.
with the neighbor. Okay, that's what I thought.
I know that's what they had discussed, had been discussed before.
Right. But until the hole gets dug.
Mm-hmm.
All right, unfinished business 5C, recall of elected officials ordinance. I know we went over this one a month ago.
Back in November.
Was
2
was
months
it
ago.
then? Geez, okay. Oh, yeah, November 12th. It was full 2 months ago.
So some of the things that sorry,
Recommendations.
in my recommendations, it talks a little bit about some of the things that Michelle and I were batting around were the question of, do you want to define petitioners in addition to the initiator? So an initiator would be the person who comes in and files with the clerk. I want to recall an elected official. Obviously, none of you guys. This is just hypothetical.
Hypothetically speaking. yes.
An initiator will come in and ask for the paperwork or ask for what do I need to provide for paperwork to get this confirmed. The question is, do you want to also have that requirement on a document for say, if the initiator isn't going to go and collect all the signatures necessary, they may hand that document off to someone else. Petitioner may need to put their name on the bottom or not. It's really up to you.
Right now, doesn't it say that the petitioner needs to be a resident? Oh, it's
The
petitioner-
initiator.
The initiator
The
does.
initiator is the
Okay.
person who's saying, I want to recall this elected official. None of you. And they are the ones that are essentially supposed to fill out that form. But
Right.
there's nothing that precludes them from handing it to a friend to say, can you help me collect the signatures I need for this? Even though I'm the initiator, you're also in cahoots with me to do this or effort to try to make this change. Do you want to define petitioner in this? Do you want,
I mean,
um,
I would think in theory, anybody that's petitioning to recall official of the town of Newcastle should be a resident of the town of Newcastle.
Well, that's for sure.
So,
Yeah.
but that doesn't restrict if petitioner's not defined, if you're not keeping track of who the petitioners are, then they could hand it up to their friend in Damascotta or Bremen or somewhere else, and they know people in Newcastle that they see at work or whatever, and they could have.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it's not indifferent than, you know, it's not the petition to be on a select board, but it's the,
Just
I mean,
collecting the signatures.
the signatures to get on the select board.
You can hand that to.
You can hand it
anybody.
to anybody, you know, yeah.
Yeah,
It doesn't need to be you going door to door.
As long as the
As long as-
signatures are verified as residents of Newcastle.
Exactly,
And the
And
instigator.
and the
is-
instigator signs it.
yeah, that's it.
Just wanted to verify that. So that is not relevant. And then, should the town draft a petition sheet? I mean, we don't, by law, we don't have to. If somebody came in and asked us, we'd obviously guide them at what needs to be included on it, but we aren't necessarily in a position to say, Exhibit A, here's what we're expecting from you. I haven't drafted that. I don't know if you want us to. It's not required.
Like instructions per se?
Yeah, like the things that need to be included. I mean, they're written in the law,
Yeah.
what needs to be included on the sheet, but like one additional step is to actually create the form that they have to use or are expected to use, or the information that would be on a form that they would use to sign off that they're initiator, and then they're going to collect the signatures.
Them creating their own form is not a huge burden.
Nope.
So
Yeah.
it's the difference between the petitioner or not, the instigator writing a form or the town having a boilerplate on file.
Correct.
I actually think that the town should have a
I think
form.
that, I agree.
Just because you don't know where you're gonna get, maybe,
Ineligible.
yeah, or, read it. Is that the word?
Illegible.
Illegible, can't read it.
Legible.
Or
I'm still on vacation.
you,
excuse me.
yes, absolutely.
Um,
You would hate to have somebody, all fired up and then submit
Yeah, something.
an erroneous or just missing a slight piece of, having it thrown out on technicality
Yeah, it seems like,
feels like governmental BS.
Yeah.
So just have a form.
Yeah.
They can fill it out.
right, boilerplate, person, position, whatever,
Signatures.
signatures.
Address.
Okay. So
But-
that is the piece we'll add for next meeting, and you can schedule a public hearing then if you're comfortable with it.
Yeah, I think the clerk will need to identify how many signatures they need.
It is
It
10% of the
varies.
previous,
I get you.
yeah, but we'll have to tell that, we
You
do
have to
tell
tell
them,
them.
we do tell them. When people come in asking for that, we give them. Yep,
Is that the current number?
no.
Oh,
He just made it
No.
up.
oh.
It's actually quite large.
Yeah, it was a huge turnout. Yeah.
Gotta wait till an off election.
Before I try to oust
Yeah,
somebody.
don't oust anybody until you've had a small election. Was that it on that, Kevin?
That's it for that one. There's no motion here because I wanted to clarify those pieces based on the recommendation. So,
Thank you for doing the red line and
Yeah.
yeah,
I appreciate it.
you're welcome. These shorter ones, it's easy to put them both there, but
Yeah,
It's good to see what's changed.
yeah, and I give Michelle a lot of credit for taking the first stab at addressing this.
All right, the new business. Oh, I completely forgot at the beginning of the meeting. All right, I'll do it right now because I don't want to forget it. I don't think in our meetings, we have not acknowledged that the Francis Perkins Homestead became a national monument. I think it was December 16th. So that is really good for the town. It's good for the Francis Perkins Center because it gets some federal funding. And I hate to be a downer, but on the same vein, we lost Tomlin Perkins Coggeshall last week on January 7th, the grandson of Francis Perkins. And it was really nice that he was able to go to the ceremony in, when was the one in December? No, that was December 16th, I think, when they signed it. He was able to go to that in DC and attend and meet Biden and be there when it was signed, but unfortunately, he passed away last week. Doesn't live in Newcastle right now, but had lived here forever, for a
No.
long, long time.
And I think it's worth mentioning his partner
Christopher.
Was helpful. And
They were
both
both
of them.
instrumental in getting that, yeah. Not only on the national register, but then there was some other designation and then now the
And there was support from our town too.
with a lot of support from the town.
And, yeah,
And so it's the buildings are monument, the grounds are still
The Francis Perkins Center.
center,
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting, they didn't take. The feds didn't take the whole property on, they took the house and the barn and.
Mm.
And I think the
Okay.
center wanted to be able to have things there still
Yeah,
to do some of their work.
no, it's great.
The good question, Mike. I think we'll have to find out. I think the cemetery is probably not included in the national monument.
Yeah, I think the grounds were not included.
We'll have to get on the center, gotta get that cemetery fixed up.
but there's what, 7 monuments in this country? Something like that.
Oh, no, there was a lot of them.
Is there?
Yeah, there's a lot. But they just added, I don't remember the number. Biden just added a whole bunch because there were only a few, like maybe 7 dedicated to women.
Oh,
And he wanted to make sure that some of the
Mhm.
women got their recognition as well. All right, new business 6A, set the date for the annual town meeting. I gotta speak slower, Ben. This is gonna be too quick of a meeting.
14 minutes, you're doing great.
136, according to Wikipedia, 136 monuments, national monuments.
Okay, thanks for clearing that up.
No,
No, 1, 2,
really?
yeah, Katahdin,
Is it back Todd and
yeah, and
Martin?
water. and-
The,
Quimby property was, which is,
yeah,
that's the only one I heard of in the state.
nice.
So,
Sorry to derail.
Okay, so let's see, we're looking at setting the annual town meeting for June, the secret ballot election for June 10th, and then the actual town meeting for June 16th. And that's kind of right in the timing we always have.
Hmm.
Does anybody have any?
so the annual town meeting in this open meeting is on Monday. That's not typical.
Oh,
It always was.
It always was?
It always.
Yeah, okay.
I think we moved it 1 year because of holiday. or
Because of
something.
Juneteenth, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
When is that?
I don't know.
That would be
I
on
just
But
looked
it's
at my-
the,
That would
it's
be on
the
the
19th.
Thursday.
Yeah, it's
Thursday.
19th
Oh,
this
Thursday.
year. Mhm.
That's good, works. You think?
Yeah, I mean,
That's not a ringing endorsement. What's your beef?
What's the problem?
the problem is attendance. What, 56 people at the last town meeting?
Do you think that having it on a different day of the week would
Hmm?
increase that?
I don't know that it's about advertising, honestly. I don't know. I think, I don't know. Years ago now, we moved it to a Saturday in an attempt to get folks to come out, because Monday night had been the typical night for a long time, but it's always the first day of the week. It's hard for people to get out on the start of the week. And it totally backfired on us. I think we had like maybe 40 people that night.
Hmm.
'Cause no one wanted to come out on a Saturday. They're like, that's our weekend,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, this is fine. I guess it's what everyone's used to. It just,
I don't think it's the day of the week that's the problem. I think it's just a general interest in attending a town meeting. So maybe we can come up with some ideas on how to get
Book
people
some
more,
entertainment,
and food.
get some jugglers or something, I don't know.
well, I
something.
mean, the funny thing is that we have,
Acrobats?
for the voting day, June 10th is what's being proposed for that. We'll get 2 or 3 times the attendance. That We'll
Yes.
have an open annual town meeting.
Yes,
Which is why we've also in the past experimented with just putting the warrant on the ballot. Instead of having,
it was done that way.
No.
the
not
first year of COVID.
Oh, you did, yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Mm.
But that was a special. reason.
Yeah, oh, that was horrendous. I'm not even gonna go into it, but.
Yeah.
You know, there are a
And
lot
it
of
and it
other
was,
towns.
legally allowed. state.
Yeah, it was a lot of back and forth. They've changed the rules since then, but, it, you know, now is the time to talk about it, I think, you know, the question of open town meeting and its effectiveness. Versus, you know, more representation through the ballot box. There are towns who literally do everything on the ballot box. Jefferson, I think, does it that way. They don't have an open annual town meeting where everybody comes and talks about stuff. And I think that for the past decade anyway, we've been seeing a diminishing return on how effective town meeting actually is. To be completely blunt, the majority of open town meeting is budget items, unless there's some hot ticket ordinance thing going on. And the argument has always been that ordinance changes are probably best represented on the ballot anyway, to get more votes. And the budget has basically been rubber stamped by the residents for more than a decade. We haven't voted down a single budget warrant article. I'm not complaining. I'm just noting that if that's truly the case and people aren't that interested in the work that we put into it, putting it on the referendum is perhaps a better option than even having an open town. I know that's
It's a big change.
crazy to suggest, but the need for it is obviously not as great.
Mhm.
Especially considering the fact that we're doing special town meetings on a quarterly basis.
Right.
And those have become less controversial, thankfully, over time. And we can do, you know, the small changes to ordinance and state mandates and things like that that we need to do at that time. The evidence is very clear that people in Newcastle, when you put a voting day sign out, they show up to vote that day. But less than a third of those folks can actually make it to an annual town meeting. So.
What was our turnout last year? Like, I get my book out, like
it was
50, 57.
56.
And the year before was it close to that too?
Right around that, maybe a few less. We haven't had over 60. I don't even know.
Any idea what our number of voters is? Registered voters?
1,100 and something. That 1184, I can't remember. So.
So we have
So-
55 people making decisions for 1,100 people.
It just bugs me that,
Yeah.
you know, we agonize over budget numbers. And then we go and we ask, hey, do you like this budget? It gets basically rubber stamped, but 54 people, which is, you know, 2% of the voters in Newcastle are approving the entire budget. And if we just put it on the referendum, we get 6%.
Yeah. Maybe 10%.
Maybe 10%. I am trying to stir the pot, but now is the time to do so.
Just so you can make this meeting go more than 47.
What she wanted it. I mean, I'm just saying, like,
It's not about wanting it. I just
I
was
took
not
4
optimistic.
minutes. I'm done now.
I feel like
1,400 voters,
1,400 voters?
1392 this
Oh,
past election.
geez. Okay, it's even worse. So the percentages are just not great. I
agree.
just don't, I don't think open annual town meeting has the benefits that it used to have.
yeah,
I think smaller special town meetings are more effective. at
I
this point.
agree with that, but
No buts. Okay.
I think that the 50 some odd people that do show up, there is a minority of them that are very vocal.
Sure.
And do like to have their say. And that's their chance to have their say. You know, it's
Yes
not,
and no, because when all that is being come up with, all the budgets are being came up with, when any work for any other warrant articles, they happen here. And these are.
Oh, sure.
Still, and we
I
got
just,
3 people there.
I mean more the my mailbox got destroyed. I want to go rattle the cage. I'm going to show up at the annual town meeting and do that. You know, I feel like it's maybe a good exercise to just have the faces in a room and everybody's there and feels a little brave and they get to say what they need to say. I don't know.
I think it would be more, I don't disagree with you, but I think it would be more effective to have a special town meeting to set the budget than it would be to hold an annual town meeting to vote on the budget at this point.
yeah,
Because the complaints that we hear at annual town meeting, it's like, well, the budget's set.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, and that's why at that point, everything, again, it just gets rubber stamped. If we had a special town meeting when we were finalizing the budget, and our last budget meeting was a special town meeting, we advertised it. We said, if you have a gripe and you want to complain about your mailboxes, you want to complain about the snow plowing contract, you want to complain about whatever, now is the time to come and do it, and then we'll vote on it on the referendum. We don't have to go through the whole dog and pony show, you know?
The only thing I have to say is, this is just a romantic notion. The whole New England town meeting, open town meeting, it's a quirky little thing. But you don't have it in New Jersey, you know, you don't have it in, Massachusetts by and large, It's one of those things we do in Maine,
it's New England. It's
and it's in
Vermont,
every
New
town,
Hampshire.
around us. Most towns do the same thing and only 2% of the electorate shows up and somebody's got an axe to grind and it's always the same person. And it's just one of those ritualistic things. It's kind of like, makes us a small town.
I kind of have to agree with you, John.
I don't disagree with that. However, the way that we do it, and maybe this is a contributing factor, we write closed warrant articles. So especially for the budget.
Mhm.
And other towns, and I'll pick on Noblesboro a little bit here. They write open warrant articles.
Mhm.
And so somebody has to actually, like, for a budget, move a number from the floor. And the select board, it just shows a recommendation.
Mhm. Yeah.
And the budget committee has a recommendation, and they're still averaging over 100 people at their town meetings every year.
Mhm.
I think this past one, last year was like 130, something like that. School board was coming.
Yeah.
But they even elect officials from the floor at their town meeting.
Yeah.
So like the road commissioner is elected and some other positions. And maybe that contributes to it. My whole point and perspective in bringing this up is that our attendance is crummy. And if we could modify it some way, either modify it to get more attendance, I'd be interested, or shuffle the important stuff to a vote where we capture more attendance. That's my whole point. And I don't disagree about the small town New England traditions. I'm not trying to disparage that. I'm just saying it's no longer as effective as it used to be. If we were still capturing 100, 150, 200, 300 people at an annual town meeting, I would not be saying this. End of story. But 54, 56 people, we're waiting for the clicker. Is it 57, 57, 57? It's like, it's ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Out of 1,400 voters.
Yeah. Am I making too big a deal about that?
No, if what you're proposing is something the rest of the board is interested in exploring, I need to know that. Because what I would need to look at is what is the process to convert our budget process to the referendum process. I know several towns in the area have done, so
Yeah.
it's not hard I just need another meeting. So if you want me to explore this, don't set the date right now. Because, I think you're still gonna have to go to referendum to approve changing this process. It's my thought. You can't do it necessarily for this year.
No, I think under Title 30A, the select board actually has the authority to set both the process and the date.
And that's what I want to explore. I don't know off the top of my head.
So not in the effort to make this a 46-minute meeting. Just saying that, I can, but I think, I think it requires some discussion. And where do we do that? Where do we fit that into our business, I guess? So I'll just leave it at this, that, we have thrown out the idea of a charter. And, where, at some point, should we discuss that? Maybe that's the time when we're actually looking at these other mechanisms that are not tradition.
I don't blame you. That's a whole nother year though.
I'm
Minimum
just saying, yeah.
versus we could just give them 2 weeks and he could come back with some more information.
I can go either way.
I mean, I don't know how much lifting we're doing here. I mean.
Right now, I'm just trying to give direction for our interim town clerk to make sure that we're doing all the things we need to do to set up for June.
If-
I do have a little wiggle room. I could wait till the 27th.
We're gonna say, if we don't set it tonight,
You
if
need to
we
set,
wait,
I would really like you to set it by January 27th.
sure, like if we table
Look at
this
this.
until next week or next meeting, and you come back to us with some answers.
But all we're
That
doing is
doesn't-
setting the date, not the dynamics of the voting structure, right? So,
Well, if we follow this motion, we would.
Because you're setting the open meeting for the
Yeah.
16th.
but aren't you just saying have an open warrant? What were you saying?
No, have a referendum of the budget and
Oh,
maybe
okay.
a special town
That's
meeting
what you were-
ahead of that to set the budget
Yeah.
and then have it, the voters approve it in referendum. And then therefore you just drop the 16th date, just stick with the first date to do the vote.
Right. No, it's just referendum.
Yep.
I mean, if there was a recommendation, that would be the recommendation I'd like to propose, that we try. And see how it goes.
Does anyone have any opinion in the audience? Mal, you have to have thoughts on that too. Oh,
Yeah,
Rob,
I would say, I mean, I think that there have been discussions over the years about whether to do a charter. And in what the structural changes might be in that. I mean, obviously, that's a much broader discussion that gets into, the whole, structure of governance and how decisions are made. I think, I mean, obviously, there's the New England town meeting is a really cool idea and it's I mean, I love it. It's great, but the numbers aren't great either. I mean, the flip side of that is, okay, if we do all this stuff at a June, vote, how big is that vote? I mean, in our big, presidential elections, we get these big numbers of voters, but we don't get those numbers in June. So is that solving the problem of minimal public input? I'm not sure that, I mean, it's probably better, but it's not like suddenly now you're really getting the whole voters in the
no,
town.
but I think, I want to say in the last couple of June, like the elections for the board, I want to say the numbers have been like, what, does it sound reasonable? 250 to 350 as the total number of votes that somebody might get?
Right, so I mean, which again, is a lot better than 50.
50,
Right.
yeah.
Not great, I mean,
Right.
so it's better, but is that really like revolutionarily better? I'm not sure, I guess I would say I don't know what the answer is, but I think, I mean, should it be a town council rather than a select board and having the town vote on things? I mean,
Well, not to interrupt you, but I'd object to the term revolutionary as the classification of what I'm proposing, because this is not a major shift
no.
at all.
I guess I'm saying it doesn't. I was thinking revolutionary, not that the proposal is revolutionary, that the result will be getting the full input of the town.
And I'm not even, I
I
can't think of a way to do that. I'm just trying to make it better than it is, that's all.
I hear you.
Yeah, and I'm with you, I understand. We've talked about this.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I think we just need a wrap.
I'm
I mean,
not
come on.
sure. I don't know what, I mean, Walmart was the, the high point, filling the gym with people. But we don't really want, a big, have to have a big threat over our heads to get people to show up.
That's not good either, but yeah.
Yeah, so, but I don't know, I mean, it's not that much of your time to show up and participate in the community, so I don't know.
And I think that, I don't know, I just, again, I didn't mean to be a Pollyanna here, but I think, you know, when somebody stands up and just got something to say, I mean, it may resonate with somebody else, it may not, you know? But I feel like there should be a venue other than these meetings and, you know, the sparsely attended special town meetings that we've been holding where people just get to say their thing, you know what I'm saying? And that just gets out there and that's what it is. And back to the idea of the quirky little New England town that we are. That's weird, but that's what I would think.
What's Mel's opinion?
I think the primary reason for the low attendance is that folks don't think that what they could say at that meeting would have any substantial change in outcomes. That it's pretty well wrapped tight. Now, if you could have it so that you could vote both up and down for money, that would help a little bit, but it's more the issues have been sort of pre-wrapped. And this is not, 1790. I mean, there isn't the ability to know the pertinent details of a lot of business. That's why we have one of these.
Here's funny.
Second time tonight for a different reason. Getting people involved where they don't have either a huge financial stake in a vote, because we sort of know what the options are going to be. Big things don't move by and large. This is not the situation where you're trying to sell a product. You want to listen what they really want or need, and some engagement in the course of the year that brings more people in, and they'll talk to their friends and enemies. But engagement isn't just that one, given the busy lives that people have. I mean, the town meeting in 1790 was an event.
Lasted all day.
And engagement is not the same as it once was, and how do you change that? I don't think it's with a single action on that day or for that day. I think it's more events during the year that bring people into government activities.
So is that a yay or a nay on
Sounds
the
like
annual
you're
town
endorsing
meeting?
my plan.
No, I endorse your outcome.
Well, so I guess another way to phrase what I'm suggesting or proposing is that there's more bang for the buck for the interested citizen to come to a special town meeting before the budget is set than there is to come to an annual town meeting
To rubber stamp.
to rubber stamp it, which has that has just, that's not my opinion. That's actually fact now. Like, we have enough evidence of the types of questions and answers that are, posed and answered at town meetings versus special town meetings to know the dial moves more at special town meetings than it does at annual town.
Question, in this scenario, there's a special town meeting as the budget is being developed and finalized. What happens at that? Is that, I mean, that's not just informational, you're asking the voters to vote on something. What are they actually voting? The line items of that budget?
For the categories, maybe?
I mean, I don't,
Modifying the modifying the line items to adjust what the category will be, maybe?
I mean. And then that then goes to a public, the vote,
A referendum.
a
vote.
referendum vote.
Yep. So it'd be on a ballot. For that category.
So basically you have the self-selected group who's showing up to that special town meeting. Is voting on the budget that the select board and town manager put together. And finalizing that before it goes to the referendum.
But it really
With
needs
that.
to offer them two options, not just yay.
Right, but then they kind of have to be part of all those discussions to understand what they're voting on.
Yes.
No more than they would at the annual town meeting now. I mean, if someone asks a question about something, they get the full explanation behind it.
But that's assuming that more than 6 people, 4 of whom are neighbors who have a gripe against one thing, show up and then determine the budget for the rest of the town that might not be the right thing
Now,
for the rest of the town.
so I am not proposing that this is gonna be perfect. It still requires people to show up. It's just a change to try and help that process. That's it. So yeah,
I
you're not
agree.
wrong. You're absolutely right. And I'm not saying it's gonna be better
Yeah.
at all.
Is an interim step? I mean, obviously, the town advertises the budget process, and if you're trying to pay any attention, you can see when the select board is having workshops for each of the budget items, and the public can come and comment. This is a sort of a hyper version of that in a sense. At the end of, I mean, obviously the select board and town manager would still have to go through that process. And then you have a product that then some group votes on. Is there a way to get more engagement in the workshops, I guess?
I don't know, maybe. Look, what I do know is this, when we had a calendar year instead of a fiscal year. Town meetings were in March. Which was not awesome because you were already 3 months into your spending cycle. But anyway, so the fiscal year makes a lot more sense. However, attendance was much better when we had town meetings in March.
Interesting. I would have thought it'd be worse because the weather could be a factor.
Always better.
No, it's what else you can do?
Yeah, right.
In June, there's,
Waiting for things to
you,
thaw.
That's true.
you want to be anywhere but inside.
Well,
It's
as
almost
soon
the
as-
longest days of the year. too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as soon as we switched the fiscal year and we started having town meetings in June, it was like, oh God, now we gotta have town meetings in the middle of summer. Well, everybody's off on vacation and
Yeah.
doing this, their kids are out of school or maybe not, or whatever. But I mean, it's like chaos. You got nothing to do in March.
Might as well go to the town meeting.
So it's kind of what I'm proposing.
Get you
It's
out of
like
the
we-
house.
We start the budget. And I don't know if we can even do it, but we have a special town meeting, end of March, beginning of April.
Which is the point.
Which is the plan anyway. And then we hold a referendum for a townwide vote and we're done. We're done with the budget. That being said, that's just the budget. The rest of it, and part of the reason I feel comfortable in suggesting this is because we have a really good system for handling ordinances now. It's butter. I mean, it just goes through the process. It gets noticed, it goes through the appropriate public hearings. It hits one of the quarterly special town meetings now. People who are interested show up. That's finally starting to become what we always dreamed of it becoming, just rote, it should just be regular business. So the ordinance, instead of cramming absolutely everything into this one special day, which isn't all that special because we only get 50 something people there. Spread it out, spread the love out over the year. More opportunity for people to participate.
Or because you wrote is also part of the problem. As well as part of the solution, depending on. I mean,
Again, nothing's perfect. It's just nothing.
apparently.
I know. But like I said, I'm taking my moment because
You're trying to take away and
well, apparently we need to be here until 10, so doing my best.
I don't think anyone ever said that.
Well, can we look at it on the 27th?
don't take any action tonight.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'll bring it back as another item for the,
And when do you propose to do that? With all the stuff that you've got going on in the next 2 weeks?
it's, I mean, this is just, I was already starting my homework assignment while we're sitting here, so I already have I kind of a concept, and I'll bring a couple proposals to you on the 27th. It might still look like that. That'll be option one, you'll have an option two, and you might have an option three.
Yeah, I mean, you know, my point of view is just kind of like I said, it's kind of like this. This idea, it's tradition, right?
Yeah.
But I understand Ben's point of view too. And the circumstances of our kind of modern world too. And the fact that we do hold 3 other special town meetings, at least that's our plan. So there's that, even that, so.
And
That's
I
worth-
do think that the more time I'm here, the more connections I'm making, the more people who are getting on these email listservs that I've created. I'm well up over 120 residents when you look at the 3 or 4 different listservs. This is the kind of thing, the budget stuff is something I would share with all of those.
Mhm.
So you know that residents are at least getting the email. I have no idea if they're reading any of it.
Right.
My memos, I was told by Shelley today, are more like are more like memoirs in terms of how long they are, so.
The only thing I'd stress is, let's not be delusional. We're not going to change the culture of everybody's busy lives.
No.
We're not gonna all of a sudden get like this overwhelming sort of interest and turnout to vote. I mean, that's just not gonna happen.
No.
And if anything in the future, it's just, it's just gonna keep dwindling the way I see it.
Because you're doing such a great job.
Well, I'll say this, the fact that, when you're
Well-
doing something wrong, because people turn out in force, right?
Okay, right, yeah.
That's all I'm saying. And
The problem here with lack of participation is you're all too competent.
No.
I'm serious. I come to these meetings, I look at the fiscal warrants, like, yeah, all looks perfectly sensible. You make these beautiful packages. People say, they got everything under control. What do I need to, there's nothing I need to do here. It doesn't matter if I.
Well, that's good, but it does lead to complacency, and I guess I got one more point, and then I
Yeah.
will shut up. Which is that, while I absolutely love tradition, I feel that part of our job is to always question the status quo. And ask ourselves, if there is a better way to do it, what would that look like? And if the answer comes back, the way you've been doing it is the absolute best way to do it, I'm perfectly satisfied. But to not even ask the question seems like we're doing a disservice.
Well,
I'm done.
and I don't know that it's like preaching to the choir. Another option would be to ask at the annual town meeting, do we want to change this for the next, going forward to make this a voting item on the ballot? Now, of course, you've got the people who want to show up at the meeting, then telling you whether they want you to
Do you wanna
continue the meetings.
do you want to save your Monday night when it's 75 degrees
Right.
out and sunny?
Right. So I don't know if that would work, but I mean, that is another option too, to just put it out there for people to vote on. So
One of the longest days of the year.
it is, it's what we're
Yeah.
like a week, 2 weeks short of maybe only a week short of the longest day of the year, yeah.
I don't know.
Unless we don't get daylight savings time anymore. Well, actually, it'd still be the longest day of the year.
Yes.
Well, thanks for the thought, Ben.
I killed half an hour, look at that.
All right, then we'll move on to item 6B, the cable franchise agreements or non-agreements at this point, I guess.
I'll make the motion to authorize the town manager.
Yeah, are we missing something? It's pretty straightforward. It's $3,000 to $5,000, 2,500 to 5,000.
And this is something we've been trying to do since 21.
December of 2021 is
Yeah.
when we got the formal letter.
I'll second this motion.
Yeah.
It's just charter. Lincolnville Communications does not do TV.
Yeah.
I found that out since I sent this out.
Mhm.
So it's just what now?
It's just
just-
with charter or Spectrum.
Spectrum.
For TV.
They're just going to, from what I've read, provide us with all the guidance and the forms and such.
Correct.
They're not going to actually contact.
No, that's my job, or that's Michelle's job. I've delegated that one to Michelle. But I will be assisting her in this process.
Just,
I'd rather
guess the
just have the
question-
advisors assisting us in this process than trying to get more work out of. Are already stretched to thin term.
No, I agree. I mean, that's where we've been for the last 4 years, is trying to get our town council.
I mean, to some of that
negotiate.
fell on me, because in July of 2023, a version that wasn't ready yet was put on my desk to review. And that's also when I met with this board and said, what are your priorities? Because I
Right.
only have so many hours.
Right.
So that got delayed and delayed and delayed, so.
I think, yeah, I think we need a nag is what we need. And these people.
And these are
nag.
very much
Yeah.
competent group.
Yeah.
And they've been involved in changing some of the state legislation to make it a better fit for towns too.
Yeah.
And a more lucrative approach for towns too,
Yeah.
so.
All for it. We
Yeah,
kinda
as
got
long as,
snowed at that.
as long as it doesn't mean, it doesn't increase the amount of work that you have to do. Because you guys haven't been working on this, but now it's going to be something else on your plate to make phone calls and follow up and,
But I think we gotta do something. Yeah,
well, we need to move it up on our priority
Well,
list then.
Well,
Fortunately, next meeting, we're gonna talk about
Okay.
priorities, so it will come up as part of that discussion, but.
but am I wrong? This essentially puts that burden on.
They're giving me
So-
the templates, they're
Yeah.
giving me the path forward, we just have to submit the stuff.
Yeah.
Replace municipality with Newcastle. It's not a huge burden at this time, and it's a lot of spend 2 hours on it and then not talk about it for 2 months.
Okay.
Spend 2 hours on it and not talk about it for 2 months. I don't think gonna eat up a ton of staff time to address this. Just needs to stay at the forefront, and these guys, I think, will help us ensure that that happens.
And I don't know how much more this will get us in money, but I assume probably will cover the fee.
Oh, it would.
Yeah.
And I know, we have a partner in making sure we get the television stuff out, so there'll be conversations with LCTV, and there'll be conversations with LC for now. I know there were other members of the community who had been involved in the past, and I want to make sure we talk about things.
Okay. All right, then. Let's see, I'll, the whole motion here is to authorize the town manager to sign the proposal with Casco Bay Advisors LLC to assist the town in its franchise agreement renegotiations with Charter, Spectrum, and Lincolnville Communications.
Like I said, Lincolnville.
Oh, that's out.
That's out. now.
That's out. Okay, so it's
Spectrum.
just Charter Spectrum. And then to use the contingency to cover the related expenses. So, all right, so we had a motion and a second, so all in favor? All right, it's fine. Let's keep going with that one.
Just to date myself even more, the last time we negotiated that, it was with Roadrunner.
Ooh.
For your AOL account?
Not quite that far back.
No, it was Yahoo.
It was that.
All right, then we're on to, oh, wait a minute. Let's see, motion to approve the fiscal year 2025 14th AP warrant for $114,000, 620. All right,
Start
let's do
again.
that again. Thank you. $114,625.38.
So moved.
Moved by Rufus,
Second.
seconded by Ben. Anyone, any discussion on this?
We did see something. Oh, yeah, it was the phone bill popped out at me this time. $334.38 for 3 phone lines. It's 2 for the town office and 1 for the fire department here, right?
We don't have it.
It says town office phone lines.
Oh, the regular phone,
Phone
line, not the,
No,
not
just
the
the phone line.
cell. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So 300, I mean, this is a small piddly thing, but I just transitioned and built a phone system for my daughter's school. Similar bill. And now they're paying $20 a month for 2 phone lines. And I
Was
feel
the
like
service through?
that's where we should be
Wow.
instead of $334 a month.
Yeah.
Looks like you just volunteered yourself. Dude.
I mean, it's a good way to save a little bit of money, right? I mean,
Yeah.
And that adds up.
that adds up. I mean, 334 a month. That's not some change, right?
No,
Where are
like,
you doing your provider? Was your provider for that?
It's a Ciptron.
Uh,
It's a what?
The Ciptron. It goes over the internet.
Oh, okay.
Let's talk.
That
Offline.
was my point. Let's talk
Yeah,
offline.
sure.
See if we can do something about that.
Yeah, because I'm just like $115 for the phone line here. It's just a landline. Tom, how many phone calls are made on that a month? 2?
Well, people do leave messages.
Yeah.
Not having somebody to answer the phone all the time. They do leave messages and stuff like that, but that's. It's huge.
Yeah, it just seems expensive for a phone line now. But do we? I'd like to, Tom can maybe fill us in. I'd like to talk about the Allen uniform sale bill.
First page.
Yeah, that's the
top
first
line.
one. These,
Castle Fire Company's covering half of it.
right, but it's, what is that for? What kind of uniforms are those?
Yeah, I believe it was. Or it was the, it's not a, it wasn't a full. A uniform, it was it's a stripped down uniform,
Like it looked like shirt, pants,
shirt,
belt,
pants and the
stuff
basics.
like that. For
I know they didn't do the coat or anything like that. I know that we had discussed it, or not, the company discussed it. And, because there's been unfortunately quite a few events recently that have warranted to be showing up in some kind of a uniform and
not to turn out here.
not turn out gear. But that's,
That's what it is.
that's, yeah.
I mean, we had, just going back a few years, we had a discussion about this, and there's gonna be some. There was actually. Be another item. To cover expenses, I forget, we were gonna, put it actually into, reserves,
Not for,
not for the.
not for, no, I think we,
I think there was a proposed line item.
Yeah.
Which didn't make the final budget.
right.
So I think
Yes,
that's
okay.
why this showed up as
Well,
this
year,
new equipment, so
We
we're
have-
spending it out of.
10,000 in our budget this year for that
Not for uniforms,
new equipment.
equipment.
And I'm just, yeah, I think if we're gonna, I think uniforms should be uniforms. It's just me, we had this conversation before, I think we should carry it on. Sure. Equipment to me is not a uniform. That's-
Right, so it's the wrong
Yeah.
line item. Is this all of it for everybody?
This was for, yeah, that was for all active members.
It's about $300 to $400 per.
Well, I know we just discussed it a couple of years ago when it was a $20,000 figure and we said no. But
Well,
we said we're not gonna pay.
Yeah, it was
pay
a
for
lot of
that.
money at the time.
Mhm.
I mean, just to be clear, I'm not saying that our company doesn't need new uniforms and shouldn't look dressed. I'm just saying,
Mhm.
accounting
wrong-
wise, it just seems like a weird place to put it, and we should talk about it for what it is. And budget for it, if that's what the money is for. That's all I'm saying.
It wasn't part of the budget discussion.
No, it wasn't.
Otherwise, it would have been budgeted in a different kind of line item. Yes, it's just something I want to make sure that going forward too, if we're going to have expenses like that, it needs to be part of the budget discussion, not we have extra money in this line item, let's spend it on something that wasn't budgeted.
Okay.
Not that you guys don't need them, but I'm just saying it should be part of the whole discussion. We don't have another line item for it, do we?
Not uniforms.
No, we do not have a line item for fire department clothing
Or apparel.
or apparel.
Maybe we should.
Yeah, I mean, we're right at the cusp of budget season anyway, so.
Yep, it'll come up.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. I think that'd be good.
Other than that, we got them.
Right. Anything else? All right, then all in favor of this warrant? Right, passes 5-0. Trying to get back to the top again, but I think we might be at town manager report.
Sure. And again, sorry, came to you at 5 o'clock. I tried to get this out as early in the day as possible, but
That was
Uh,
as early in the day as possible.
that was as early in the day as possible, but it got out on a Monday. VPI community survey. That was out since early to mid-December. This all came about after the third public outreach meeting we had. Survey resulted in about 44 respondents, so not great turnout, but informative.
Consistent with.
Our town meetings.
Weird.
From that came a group of folks who were interested in continuing conversations related to it. So I hope it builds momentum in terms of people showing up for these discussions. So proposing that February 10th, that select board meeting is the date that all of the consultants can be in attendance. So we're going to do the final presentation and the recommendations from the consultants at that meeting. And I've encouraged folks who felt they didn't know about this whole process until after I closed the survey and then reopened it. So they may show up and have additional thoughts. DOT Edgecombe Route 1, the cross Cochrane Road, there's a traffic signal proposal going there. And I apologize that I didn't get this out to everybody. When I found out about it towards the end of December, there was a public comment period that closed last Friday. But the information's still there and it's worth taking a look at what they're proposing to do in terms of a traffic signal. Like sort of on the Edgecombe
It is the Edgecombe line.
line, Edgecombe Newcastle
When
line.
you say signal, are you talking flashing light or stop
No,
light?
there's a
Stop.
flashing light there.
Okay.
Stoplight.
I believe that's
Wait.
what, yeah, they're proposing that
Traffic signal
traffic.
with green, yellow and.
On Route 1?
Crossing.
Did it in one.
Cross and Cochrane.
Yeah,
At the
Okay,
Cochrane.
you're right.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
It's a new, I think it's a new
The new-
trend with
yeah.
DOT is stopping
Nowhere
traffic
near
on Route 1
Well, because they're going so darn fast.
fast.
Well, and it does give a break in traffic every once in a while, so you can make a
Get
left,
off of ships.
which is kind of
Sheepshead
nice off
too.
of Sheepshead Road.
Yeah, yeah.
It's such a bad place.
That's a tough spot to have it.
Because it's the crest of the hill, you're
Yes.
coming out of a
Around the
whole
corner.
confusing little chicane thing going
Yeah.
on there.
Sorry, I give you guys this information so you could put your public comments in. I'm sure you could reach out to the DOT and they'd happily listen.
I was aware of it too, but I'm like,
Nothing,
Was that-
nothing I
that
can
was a
do.
joke.
It was.
Yeah. I almost took you seriously.
Working on
You
it.
need to put a little more scorn in there.
yeah,
Load rating of South Dyer Neck Bridge is done. It was completed last month. A very, very long technical document that we've now passed on to the state. There's an appeal process. So the document, I can't make heads or tails of it, but apparently it says that that does not need to be posted. I just need to get state approval to actually remove the sign. So
Which is what we suspected.
it is, and that's why we spent the additional resources to actually get this load rating done. So I know there's some residents there who've held off on doing some things because of this, but this hopefully will be resolved here soon. And then I also got a message from a contact at CMP that they're going to have a brief planned outage in Newcastle. I put the list of different poles that are going to be affected by this. It's only supposed to be 5 minutes or less. They're what they're doing is they're swapping the load from a different phase. So there's basically a shutdown of the system and then sort of a reboot and reset on a different line coming in. It should only be 5 minutes, but I just want people to know that at 9 o'clock in the morning on January 16th, you're not going to have power for a few minutes.
It's your amount.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think it might, looking at the roads, it might.
Birch Road, Cary Lane, Deer Meadow Road, Evergreen Road, Forest Road, Granite Point Road, Hassan Ave, Jones Woods Road, North Newcastle Road, Pinewood Farm Road, Ridge Road, Spruce Road, and Woods Road. And it's specific poles, but I don't know how that,
That's the one coming off that substation up there.
yes.
Yeah.
And then,
Send out comments to afflicted parties, so.
I thought they said they were
We've
gonna
got
be doing
time.
that, so you're aware.
Yeah.
Good.
And then I just have the two positions now. I have a code enforcement officer I'm still looking for. I've gotten 0 applications.
What's the best one?
There was,
You're looking at it.
Yeah, no, that doesn't work for one.
I had a conversation with your staff, with our staff, and they had a recommendation. I don't know if I should say it in public or not.
No, don't. We can talk about it offline. And then, I also have now a town clerk position that's vacant, and thank you for appointing Michelle as the interim. We are gonna take a little time to figure out what we want to do internally. And I need everyone's support to just keep the short staff situation as is, just until we figure out exactly what we want to propose for a org, because I think that's what's ultimately gonna come out of this. And then, like I said, upcoming is just the core zoning code. I know the planning board is looking at it on Thursday,
Mhm.
after, the planned CMP outage. You guys will meet. And they're gonna look to make some suggestions to move through that process. So ideally, they'll have a public hearing on the February meeting, and we can look to do a special town meeting in second part of March. And then fish ladder agreements, I'm still working with our attorney on language. I hope to be bringing those to you at the next meeting.
Still looking for 2 more for planning board.
And still looking for 2 more planning board members. Get Ben off of that. What do you want to do about finance?
We'll talk about it.
Okay, another offline.
Yes.
And then I also included the financial report. We're halfway through the year. We're about 5% under budget overall. I think that's the biggest picture here. The other areas where we're a little out of line is just because we are amortizing large expenses, such as provider agencies. We just lump summed in December, and that throws off that sort of for the month. And then same with CLC ambulance. So those are the 2 things that are in red, but when you amortize it out, we're still below budget on all of our categories.
Nice job.
All right, and I guess I need a motion to go into executive session under MRS 4056C, discussion disposition of publicly held property.
So moved.
Moved by Tor, seconded by Ben, all in favor? 5-0.
Wow.
So
8:05.
1 hour.
we're not done yet.